Gooder. Gooder next time.
Like no one ever was. Name that tune. Comment section. Name that tune.
This workout is what Hunter and I call a Metcon reset, where we write a workout and we force our desired stimulus by saying, where do we think most athletes that are going to go compete at a sanctional are going to break down? So we want to get the volume in, we want the full 5 rounds, but we're saying, okay, probably after that 3rd round, things are going to start to get a little weird with it being a heavier barbell and then having to go and deal with the grip fatigue and big range of motion on both of them, so breathing quite a bit. So we're forcing that rest in there, but you've had some of these already, so you have some experience with it, and you can start to figure out where you can push knowing that the rest is coming. Singles, touch and go, and then kind of figure out what you're going to do from there. I think the biggest thing for you is going to be setting your grip and not having to re-grip each time. One of the things we talk about all the time is the pinky knuckle on top and getting that so that you can cycle back and forth and sort of use your hips and use your movement patterns instead of worrying about grip. And then you, in a perfect world, would love big set, big rest. That's sort of what you're built for. So we're gonna force the opposite. Honestly, I'm thinking your chest to bar are gonna stay pretty smooth in this, but I would rather you drop and jump back up than push a set towards the end of this workout and then
Rest too long.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that was my mindset behind not going touch and go. Was I would definitely rest too long.
What was that face?
Him.
Who?
Gunther.
I need to push the pace without blowing up at the end, essentially. And then, like, when we rest and do 2 rounds, like, because the snatches are first, probably stick to singles on those, and then, like, just transitions have to be quick. Like, chest bar won't be hard, but they'll make the snatches very hard.
Gotcha.
So it has to be smooth transitions and keep your heart rate relatively level, I guess.
I think I'm going to start with 5 and 5 here, and unbroken chest to bar, and then decide if I can maintain 5 and 5 or at least do 5 and then singles or something like that, or even 3 in singles. I don't like singles at all.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I just don't. I like to get things done fast. Yeah, so if him and I were going side by side with singles, he'd fly through the set of 10 and I would be a rep or 2 behind.
See what happens.
Okay.
Let's do it.
How long is enough time?
How long is enough time?
How long is
On the
enough?
clock.
Oh, yes, Jesus, yes, 15 minutes is enough time.
How long should I take to do this?
Like, that's the weirdest way to ask how long is okay.
Sorry if you guys see my butt crack, his pants fall down very easily. Change of plans.
So the two things I was paying attention to with her are, again, that grip, making sure that she's able to push and pull on the bar to manipulate her body position. If she's consistently having to re-grip, it's hard to control the angle of your forearm as you're kind of coming back through, which is a big problem a lot of people have in their chest to bar. And then so far so good on the power snatch. With her, I'm usually watching for if her torso angle doesn't continue to do this. If it dives through, it's typically time to switch over to moving your feet, more traditional Ole style. And then with Austin, honestly, his movements are so good in 9 out of 10 things, especially these two, where I'm literally just watching to see what places he could push strategy-wise to kind of talk to him about. With Caroline, you're gonna get like, she's gonna go for it in a lot more instances. So with Austin, it's a lot of it's about like, what was the strategy there? And I'd like to see, I wanna see what happens in the final round there. There's a little bit of a send at the end.
Well, we're starting again.
So there you see, two different strategies can lead you to very similar places. Really liked Austin picking the bar up the way that he did in his 5th round. Definitely more urgency there. That way he knows that he can go back and knock out his 10 chest to bar like that. If he had gone touch and go there, who knows what happens. So to be able to have that skill of really fast singles is super important. Yeah, there's a couple of things. Just information gathering, we talk about it all the time. How do you actually take the information that you get from these pieces as opposed to like, oh, I got fitter. And getting fitter is important. And then there's this other piece of, and we can talk to Austin about it, but like, what would have happened had he pushed somewhere else? If he had pushed a little bit earlier, or does he know that when he goes into a competition, can he turn that up at a certain point? Because, you know, your absolute best of the best of the best that you have within you is probably not going to come out 7 days a week. So even if you don't get the time in here that you would get when you're actually testing it, whether it's, you know, just a test that we call it in training or at the actual competition, like, you want to know, I probably could push that little extra piece there. Austin, what do you think about, like, let's say that was like 4 rounds in a competition. Like, can you start to move that fast on the barbell in like round 3? Like, what happens? Because your final round was you very quick.
You made it like 20 seconds.
Yeah, very fast.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe, but I'm always having this like internal dialogue, like when to push, when not to push. Like, cause that's, like you said, like that's where it starts to be the difference maker, is like round 3 and 4. So I don't know.
I think
3
you
was probably my
probably
slowest
can
round.
go a little bit faster because it really wasn't breathing until we were done.
Yeah.
Like it was just after the first 3 rounds, that 90 seconds made my forearms like worse.
Yeah.
Just from not doing anything.
Yeah.
So it was, I had to wait a little bit. I thought I had to wait a little bit to do my chest to bar. But
I
once
think
you're
I'm
out there-
afraid to take that risk because I didn't know how it was gonna end. I didn't know I'd be able to go that fast until I just do.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I was just saying to Ted is like, it's not always about like what your time is here, because you're not going to be able to do like superhero like efforts every piece every single day. Yeah. Like you're giving it a really good effort, but you're also like that thing in the back of your head should be like, what would have happened? What would happen in competition if I stomped on the gas now instead of, a round later? And you don't even have to do it. It's just like thinking about it in those terms, because that's what happens when people go to competitions and you're like, oh, that guy, he's okay. He's, dropped in and we've trained with him before. And then at competition, you see an extra gear. And like, that's really all that is like thinking about those things and wondering like, where can I do this? Because obviously if you do it in here too much, you stand around, stare at the bar, like that's the whole point of why we write these pieces that way, so that you don't do that. So
these reset pieces have been really good for us to do together, because we do 2 very different approaches most of the time. Like last week he was second before me. We finished the second apart today. And like we can see what like we can pick and pull from each other next time.
for you, Austin, I mean, you're like, again, you're more of a power athlete, but when you get to prove to yourself here that you can do that style of workout, which is like huge in competition, because you got, all these people that go out super hot and like, there's the whole run your race, stay the course. Yeah, but like if you actually can stomp the gas at the end, whereas someone else is toast.
After the first 3 rounds, I thought you were gonna be like, you need to go touch and go because she's kicking your ass.
I was going to say go touch and go until you started doing singles that fast, and at that point I don't care.
Actually,
you don't get points for the way down.
My rest was like so smooth, like they felt really, really good.
Yeah.
So that rest helped. Yeah. That was good.
Did you have fun, Hunter?
No,
That was terrific.
not very dry.
It tastes blood.
It was really hard. It was a good workout.
All right, guys, so that was a little bit of a glimpse into this competition prep program, how we think about it from the programming side, how we change things up a little bit to make sure we force intensity and have the volume that we need. And then just the back and forth conversation, with the athletes about making sure that, yes, again, there's adaptation. We are getting stronger, we're getting faster, we're getting more powerful, but also we know ourselves in a way that they can't throw something at you within the competition where you're like, oh no, what do I do? We try to, that's why, one of the reasons why variance is so important. So again, that's the competition prep program. A little bit of a taste of that. You can find it at misfitathletics.com. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments section. We'll see you next time.